You know, when I make these videos for you guys, I try my best to get decent gameplay in the background and to show off some of the more intricate parts of a game. This game's kicking my butt. So the video you're gonna see today is just so-so, but I have to admit I had an absolute blast with Absolute Drift, and that's what you're taking a look at today. But before I get into my impressions, you have a simple job to do. That's right, I want you guys to subscribe. This game is courtesy of the Epic Game Store. It is one of the many free games they give away, and huge shout out to the Epic Game Store for continuing this tradition well after its initial inception. This month we got Rage 2 and Absolute Drift Zen Edition. Month probably isn't the right word because it seems like we're getting new games just about every other week now. But anyways, Absolute Drift Zen Edition is by Fun Selector Labs. This game has been around a really long time. It was released initially way back pre-COVID when the world didn't suck on July 2015. And it is slowly trickled out over the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, and very recently, as of December 2020, it was finally released on the Nintendo Switch. This is a top-down drifting game, and I have to be 100% honest with you guys, it's a blast. It is really fun to play, and I am a sucker for these Unity basic looking kind of games that run incredibly well. Now I am using, I was playing this on my PC, which does have a 2080 Ti, pretty beefy graphics card, but I suspect you would be able to get a really silky smooth frame rate out of pretty much any console you played it on. That's one of the really nice things about Unity is it just scales so well, and it's very basic but very pretty art to look at. The point of this game really is to become a better drifter, and I have to say in my about an hour and a half of playing with it so far, that's not working for me, which is really frustrating because the truth is, honestly, it is a challenging game. I've never been good at drifting, actually. This game does a really bad job, honestly, for being a drifting game, of really explaining how to drift. It's kind of one of those things where they want you to just figure it out on your own. These challenges and these missions they put you on become increasingly more difficult, asking you to do very complex things, drifting for 10-15 seconds at a time, hitting unique parts of the track, getting a really large skill multiplier, getting a large amount of points, things like that. But I didn't really feel like they gave me a good sense of how to control my vehicle. Now, I get it. A lot of you guys are like, well, you're dumb, Jim. Drifting is simple. All you do is turn the wheel and pull the handbrake. Yep, you can do that. You can also turn it really hard to the left, really hard to the right, and then really hard to the left again. Either way, you're going to begin into a drift. The problem is maintaining the drift is very difficult. And this game is really designed around keeping you drifting for a very long time. The tracks, I would imagine, if somebody had more skill than me, would be an absolute treat to watch as people are zipping and, you know, zanging all around perfectly. Like this turn right here, this seems like you could drift around the entire thing without any issue. Well, I have issue with it. I had a very hard time with it. There's a lot of obstacles like tires and walls that love to get in your way. The car has a tendency to slip out from under itself. You will find that you crash into the wall very often. And again, these could just be me. Maybe you're a better drifter than I am. I'm not knocking the game because it's a drifting game and I don't know how to drift. I'm knocking the game because it's a drifting game that doesn't really help me understand it. Now, the other problem is the sound effects in the game don't necessarily give you much of an indication of when your car is about to break loose. And that's just my term. That's not a racing term. But essentially, you know, you're in a drift and like something bad is about to happen. Either the rear end's going to come around over the top, or you are going to just lose your drift altogether. Unfortunately, they went a little too light on the sound effects, and you'll notice in some of the free play modes, which I get to towards the end of this video, where it's just kind of a large playground to zip around in. By the way, those are the most fun to play because you can really not crash into things and zip around, and it's just pretty and fun. But in those modes, when you get your car up to full speed, it just doesn't have distinct sounds of like going slow, medium, and fast. And it constantly sounds like it's shifting over and over and over again. It doesn't give you a good indication of that sound profile. And I find that to be a major hindrance in a game like this. You know, I really do like Forza, and by no means am I comparing Absolute Drift to Forza. These are light years in budget and difference in technologies. I understand that. My point is, in Forza, the sound effects really do generally help you become a better racer. And if you're not really looking down at your tachometer, which this game does not have, and if you're not really looking down at, you know, your any kind of HUD that you have in Forza, you can just through sound pretty much figure out what's going on with your car, when it's time to shift, that sort of thing. In this game, I feel it kind of struggles at that. You don't really necessarily get that piece of it. What you end up getting is these very odd moments where you know, the car's making weird noises and you're not really entirely sure why it's doing what it's doing, which I think is a major hindrance. But the other part of the sound equation is the soundtrack, and that actually sounds really cool. It's a constant backbeat of not many songs, unfortunately. I'd say maybe a dozen at most, of just gentle, like smooth electronic music. It's very soothing. Some of them have very light amount of lyrics to them, but mostly it's instrumental in nature, and it's very soothing. Even when you're being as frustrated as I am and crashing and not being able to complete any of the challenges, the music is fun and I like it. And I think this is a game that I will definitely play again. I feel like this game would best be relegated to what I call a conference call game. A conference call game is a game where you want to play maybe for 20-30 minutes. You don't really have to give it your full attention, but just enough attention that, you know, okay, clearly I need to focus on my driving and stuff, but you're not going to sit here and play this game for 3 or 4 hours at a time. And I think that's why, honestly, it works so well for mobile devices. I think it would be a perfect game on a Nintendo Switch. I know it is currently available on both iOS and Android, although I question the controls of a game like this on that platform. But that's okay, because I feel like, you know, a game like this does have some, you know, just that pick up and play kind of like excitement to it. And I like that. I would say it's fun, and I had I known about it before, I honestly probably would have given it a couple bucks to try it out. But the fact that it's on Epic Games Store and that they want to constantly, you know, give us free stuff, I'm not going to say no to. But I wanted to put this video out there despite the fact that it is almost 6 years old. I wanted to put this out there and say, you know what, I think this is a keeper. I think this is a game you would enjoy playing. And if you are a little bit better at it than I am, then I think you're going to have a lot more fun than I did. Last thing I'll say before I close out the video, I absolutely recommend using a controller for this. You can play with keyboard, and it does support both keyboard and controller, but in a drifting game where you have to be very precise on your acceleration more than your turning, you're just not going to get that kind of feeling of, you know, sensation of satisfaction on a keyboard the way you are with a controller. And I really feel like that's something that absolutely has to be stressed. And if you're like me and you just absolutely stink, you just drive around this open world and just zip around, and it's just pretty and fun, and you're going to have a blast doing that too. So there's a little bit absolute drift for everybody. And with that, I am closing out this. I'm going to call it a first look. I'm not really going to call it a review because I don't think I'm ever going to get far enough to play it, but if you like a game like this, absolutely check it out. It's a lot of fun. It's free on the Epic Games Store right now. And even if you see this video after it releases, you know, after it goes off Epic Games, consider throwing these guys a couple bucks on the platform of your choice. Hope you guys found this video informative. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.